I'm Lindsay Harris, and you're listening to Feminine Grit, a podcast that explores life's unexpected paths, the obstacles we face along the way, and the journey to define what success means to each of us. As an entrepreneur, strategist, and real estate broker, I know how valuable a frank conversation with a strong woman can be. That's why I'm here, to help you own your place in the world and find your grit. Laura Eck, thank you for being on my podcast, yes. Feminine Grit.
Absolutely.
You know, the whole point of this show is to showcase women like overcoming obstacles, like to get to the life of their dreams. Mm-hmm. And I've had the privilege of knowing you since 2018.
Yes.
And to see you come up through the world in real estate. So I just want to take some time today to really kind of get to know you more. I know that I have friends that are always asking me, like, Laura, she's so amazing. She's so creative. She's like a jack of all trades. And so it just like became very apparent that we have these lives on Instagram.
Sure.
And people don't really know who the real person is. So I think this is an incredible opportunity for me to show you off to the world. Like,
wow, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. So just starting off, like, I want to know where you're from.
Okay.
And how you got to Austin.
Okay, great. So I was born and grew up in Southern California. So I'm kind of born and raised girl, family, the whole thing. My parents grew up in Anaheim. My mom worked at Disneyland. Wow. We have definite like Orange County roots. My grandmother was actually a real estate agent in kind of Brea and Fullerton and Anaheim, that area my whole life. So I watched her. And I grew up specifically in, an area called Laguna Hills, which everyone knows Laguna Beach. Mm-hmm. They don't really know Laguna Hills. Laguna Hills is inland of Laguna Beach. And so that's where I was growing up, riding bikes, doing the whole 80s and 90s life. It was very normal. And then in high school, we moved a little south to San Juan Capistrano, which is another really kind of just beautiful beach town. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I feel very fortunate. I grew up in paradise, truly.
Right.
Beautiful weather, beautiful beaches, lots of family. I also grew up very religious, and so I grew up Mormon, mm-hmm. which is, it's funny. It's interesting how like the whole Mormon religion is such a hot topic these days. Mm-hmm. It really wasn't anything for me as a kid. It was I guess being a California Mormon mm-hmm. is very different than a Utah Mormon. Right. Utah is a little more traditional, whereas specifically in Southern California, I think it was more of a casual mm-hmm. version of it, if anything.
Were there a lot of Mormons in California?
There were.
Okay.
There were. I mean, nothing like Utah, I would say, but we had a pretty good group mm-hmm. in my high school, I would say. Probably like 20, 30 kids mm-hmm. in my grade. So, and the same in every other grade. And so we had a good group of friends. That being said, I was not perfect by any means. There's a lot of rules. I feel like I had a pretty fun life, though. Mm-hmm. We had a good group of friends.
And you were one of how many siblings?
So I'm the oldest of 5.
Okay. I didn't realize you were the oldest.
I'm the oldest of 5, yeah. So, and I feel like that has transcended throughout all of my career and life. I feel like the oldest daughter specifically is is part of me for sure. Right. It's a thing.
Yes.
You're the oldest.
I'm an oldest
You're
daughter.
the oldest. Yes.
Yes, we're very driven.
Yes. There's just something about us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm the oldest of 5, and the trend in my world, my religion, my high school was to go off to Utah to go to college, specifically BYU. I did not get into BYU though. So I ended up going first to a college called Utah Valley University for a year, and then I transferred to the University of Utah. So then I basically did my whole bachelor's at University of Utah. So I did leave California, and I did that I was in Utah for about 5 years, and that is where I met my husband. He was a San Diego boy.
Right.
And so I immediately knew I did not want to meet someone from Utah or marry someone from Utah. I really wanted to finish school and get the hell out of there. And I really didn't love it. I really struggled with a bit of the culture there. I really struggled with, I'm not really a winter girl, so there was that. But I really didn't love the culture of Utah and how religious it is and all of that. And I saw very much how it was very divided. It's kind of black and white. It's sort of like you're Mormon or you're not where you live, if you live there. And if you're Mormon, you're like happy and you live in your bubble and life is great. And if you're not, it's very much like you hate the church and you're very angry toward all the other religious people. And it's kind of a strife. And I didn't see that was a very healthy place for me or for people to live or raise a family or any of that. So found a San Diego boy, fell in love, got married last year of college, basically, super young. And then we got the hell out of there and moved back to Southern California. So we lived there, and with college, what I studied was I kind of had like a double major. I studied art and visual communications and then graduated with communications. Okay. So when I was a little girl, actually more when I was in high school, I really wanted to be a wedding planner. That was sort of like the thing I wanted to do. I thought, and it's funny, I remember the movie with J-Lo that came out. It was called The Wedding Planner, I think, or just called, and I think it was Matthew McConaughey.
Yes. That's
and Jennifer
movie.
Lopez, and it was called The Wedding Planner. And I remember seeing that and saying, I want to do that. And so that was sort of, I guess, kind of what I thought I wanted to do. And then, you never really exactly do what you think, but I feel like I've done a version of that. So what I ended up doing after college was what anybody does, just find a job as fast as you can because you kind of need to make some money. And it was always a temporary idea. So I got a job at Nordstrom.
Okay.
Through college, I was a server. So I worked like serving jobs. But right after college, I got a job at Nordstrom in the makeup department. And mainly because I had always kind of had a knack for makeup and I had this art degree and I kind of had done a lot of customer service stuff. So I sort of had all of those in play, and I actually ended up falling in love with this job. So I became a counter manager for Stila Cosmetics, which is still around. It's not as big of a company, but I ended up becoming, I worked at South Coast Plaza, which was the top selling Nordstrom in America at the time. Maybe it still is, but it's one of the big malls, Nordstroms in the U.S. And because it was the top selling one, we had big time people always coming by. Right. So it was like the big time, anybody who created a line. We had Bobby Brown. We had, the MAC people. We had Laura Mercier. We had all these people kind of coming by all the time and doing trainings. Yeah. And so I was able to go to a lot of these trainings and kind of fell in love with the whole makeup artistry life. And so I then, in that sort of time frame, just kind of became like a trainer and got really into it. And then I had my first baby.
Right.
So I was 24 years old, like right out of college, just working a ton, hustling hard, doing makeup, pregnant, had my son. and then decided I still wanted to keep doing that. And so I became like a freelancer or like a trainer.
Right.
So I would go do makeup events around LA and Orange County. So I did fashion shows, training events, weddings, anything I could kind of just like get my hands on, and lots of experience. And it was great money. And I could make my own schedule and still be a young mom. And so it was a good time.
Yeah.
So I did that for about 6 years. And then I had my second son, and I teamed up with a girl who basically did hair. She was a really, really good hairstylist. And me and her together decided to start a company doing hair and makeup for weddings and events around Orange County and LA. So that was kind of my gig for a while. I was kind of a young mom, traveling and driving all around with like my big, huge, giant case of makeup and airbrush machine and all these things. And we would go do weddings all day on a Saturday and then turn around and do it all day on a Sunday. And it was a haul, and it was hard work.
And you had two small children.
And I had two small children. And I was just, but it was fun, you know? I mean, I got to do some really I had some cool experiences. I would get pulled in to do different things at Nordstrom as well. So it was a good time. And then around the time I had my third, so I had two boys and then I had a girl, and my last baby kind of threw a little bit of like turmoil in our lives a bit. And that's because she was born with a kind of a rare birth defect with her bladder. It's called bladder exstrophy. And so I had to kind of regroup so many things. And I feel like just grew a ton, because what happened was she had to have a few surgeries as a baby, one of which had to be across the country in Baltimore. We ended up having to seek a specialist at Johns Hopkins. He was basically like the expert at this condition in fixing it. And so I would say that the year she was born, so that was 2008, was hectic and crazy, because we had so many questions, so many unknown. This birth defect was rare enough that we didn't have a lot of answers. There wasn't a lot of like, you know, with some surgeries or conditions, there's a lot of like, oh, this has been around forever. We've had, so many kids are born with this. So here's what we do.
Yeah. You
X,
know
Y,
exactly
Z,
what's going to happen.
We know what the outcome will be. This is a little bit of like we're going to try this surgery and see if that works. And then, but there might be all kinds of complications. And we just sort of had to figure it all out. And thankfully I had a lot of family and support. So I would leave my two boys with my husband and my parents in Southern California, and I would go stay in Baltimore for like a month at a time for different procedures that she had to have.
So this kind of like, you had to put your entrepreneurial...
I had to really, just like refocus a little bit. And thankfully, my business partner at the time was, of course, so understanding and knew what was going on. And by that time, we had actually hired a few girls. Like, we had like a team.
Yes.
And so I feel like there was a lot of support and love and all the things where we needed it. But again, I feel like I grew a lot that year. And oddly enough, it was right when I was 30 years old. So I was 30 when this was all happening. And it was just sort of like, I felt young, but also so old. It was this weird thing of, a lot of people freak out when they turn 30. And I was like, I feel like I've been 30 for 5 years already.
Right.
So I just didn't.
It matured you.
I just didn't really, I think just all the things I had done already. But then by the time I was 30, I just did not even faze me at all. So I continued doing the makeup thing. And then I think I started getting a little burnt out for, for a minute. And then so by the time my daughter was through all of her surgeries, she was about 4. I had another friend of mine who was in like the fashion industry, was sort of like, and I'm getting to this point where my kids are mostly in school. So I had a lot more free time during the week.
Right.
When I had been doing the makeup thing solo, it was weekends only.
Right.
And my kids were all little, and I had to really kind of focus on how to manage all the time. But once my kids were all in school, I was like, I've got more free time. I want to do something else. And so I had a friend of mine, we had been talking about doing, we lived in Southern California. We were living this like Laguna Beach lifestyle. And so we're like, let's come up with some idea. And so our idea was graphic T-shirts. And so it was like this thing of, people are really, it was right around the time Laguna Beach was coming out and Real Housewives, and everyone was kind of obsessed with this culture in a way of like this lifestyle. And so we decided, let's create clothing or like T-shirts or graphic tees and hats and all these things. So we created this brand. It was called Salt and Pepper Tees. The name Salt and Pepper came from kind of 2 things. There was a really popular beach by us called Salt Creek that was like right smack in the middle of Laguna and a popular beach. So we were like Salt Creek, but also we only did black and white. And so we were like Salt and Pepper.
Right.
So all the T-shirts were either black with white font or, vice versa. We also did like hats and all kinds of stuff. And it was just mainly like, phrases that you would hear in Laguna, or we had like beach cities or all of this stuff. And it was really, really fun. And we ended up learning so much about social media at this time. This was also like really becoming like a thing where you could fly with social media.
Right.
There were influencers. This was like...
Is this right when Instagram was launching?
This was maybe right after. I want to say we were like, now we're looking at like 2011, 2012, something like that. And right around then. And it was this thing of like influencers were huge and bloggers were huge and blogs were still huge and all of the stuff. And so my friend, who had also kind of been doing her own blog, and she knew a lot of people in our area, she knew a lot of influencers. So she's like, if we can just get this shirt on this influencer or this hat and, and get them to like all these different influencers, will probably like soar. So we had, right off the bat, we had like a girl that had been recently on The Bachelorette wear one of our shirts. We had someone who was on American Idol wear one of our shirts, and just like starting to kind of like gain, all of a sudden overnight we had like 10,000 followers and then like another 10,000 followers. And so we were just learning how to play the social media game. Along with both of us being very particular about styling, photos, vision, and learn, like making sure that it just was all very curated looking. And then also at that same time, I learned how to build a website. I learned how to do an online store. I mean, we were shipping all over the nation, and sometimes Australia, sometimes other places. We were shipping our clothing everywhere, and just kind of blew up. And so it was a fun time. And so I feel like I've always kind of had my hand in some sort of startup, creative thing.
Yes, and I remember, like, just to fast forward, because I want to, like, this was probably what you had been doing right before you moved to Austin. And I think that's important because
that's how we met.
So I put an ad out looking for someone to do my social media, and I don't remember if you had moved here yet or you were.
So, yes. So basically, after having our t-shirt company for, I want to say like 4 years, my husband at the time, we're no longer together. Me and my husband, and we had basically like a middle schooler and 2 elementary school kids. We were just in kind of a place financially where we needed more opportunity. And I would say that, on the flip side of how glamorous Southern California is, it's also really shitty when you can't afford it.
Yes.
It's really, really difficult.
Yes.
And so we were living the grind of trying to afford. We were outgrowing our townhome like dramatically. And of course we had lots of family there, but ultimately for us, we felt very strongly that we were kind of limited to life.
Right.
You know, we couldn't really enjoy it. We couldn't really provide for our kids like anything extra.
Real estate is so expensive.
Real estate's insane. We were kind of like, there's got to be something else better out there. And I had gone on a girls trip because at the time in 2016, 17, when we were thinking about moving, my sister-in-law lived here in Austin. So I did a girls trip to come visit her. And I vividly remember being in Austin and thinking, wait, this place is so cool.
Yeah.
Like this place is actually kind of fun and not what I expected. And I think a lot of people say this, I included. I envisioned Texas to be like ranches and tumbleweeds and
horses,
dirt and ugly and just like that's kind of what I imagined with maybe like Dallas being like this sort of real ugly city in the middle of ranches. That's all I really thought.
Right.
And probably what everybody thinks. I come to Austin and I'm like, it's green and hilly and a lake through the middle. And
so y'all were hanging downtown when you came?
We were kind of all over.
Okay.
I mean, we did a lot of stuff that trip. We definitely did the like touristy stuff, but we also kind of drove around because she lived a little bit north. I was able to kind of get a good idea of it. And I remember thinking I could live here. So fast forward a year later when we thought we got to get out of California, or Orange County. And I didn't want to move to like Riverside or Temecula, which is like just inland. And I wanted something very different. I wanted a shake up. I wanted something that was going to like propel us into like a better life.
Yes.
And I just felt like that needed to be somewhere else. So I was like, Austin.
Yeah.
Austin's the answer. So we came to Austin and like basically found a house to rent up in North Austin. And I would say like it all happened pretty quickly, but my kids were excited. Everybody was pretty excited and happy for us. But again, I had to say goodbye to my t-shirt company. I had to say goodbye to a lot of things. I had to mourn living in Southern California and being that girl. But I also was just sort of had faith that there was something better in the future. So yes, after moving here, I was like, okay, so I've got in my bag of tricks, what do I have? I've got like graphic design after having a t-shirt company and designing all these things. I've got social media. I've got website design. I've got, photography skills. I've got art skills. I've got communication. I've got, like customer service, all this stuff. So I was like, I am going to look for a social media job. And this was kind of newer. I feel like it was kind of a newer thing in the, like, you just didn't find a ton of social media jobs.
I know. People weren't really focused on that.
No.
And then it took a while, and then everyone yes.
And so I looked for a couple different things, but I came across your ad it spoke to me immediately because you were very clear about the fact that you are a mom, a hard worker, you have your own business, and you just need someone to like help you with the like other things that you just don't have time for, which was kind of showcasing all the amazing work you're doing.
Yes.
But you're just like, I don't know how to do this or where to go or how to like facilitate it.
And I believe at that time I had my own brokerage, and then I joined a boutique, but then I went out on my own to create a brand. So I may have said that stuff. So it was all the creative things that, and I remember like, so that's how we met. And of course you came with me, and you've been with, you came over to work with me in 2018.
I actually think it was earlier than that.
Was it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think
Yes,
it was
it was.
like the end of 2016
I
or
always
17.
say that because
But Compass was when you
was
joined.
2018.
So it was early because we moved. Yeah, it was earlier.
Wow, it's
It's almost been a decade.
yeah, it's really wild.
I know.
And like, so we've kind of like built up, your background, but when you moved to Austin, when you started doing work for me, like, and then I joined Compass, like everybody was kind of blown away by my social media. People were immediately kind of coming out of the woodwork,
Yeah.
wanting to hire you.
Yeah.
And it was really just like, such a special relationship, because here I am finally, like, I'm able to focus on my work, and then I have someone else is like bringing in all these elements and bringing business, and people were really like, wow, who's doing your social media?
Right.
And so for me, it was even like, okay, this is amazing. And this is the power of, and you're such a perfectionist in that. And so, like, here you are as a full-time real estate agent doing your own thing. And I'm just going to summarize this quickly because I think there's a lot of people that want to understand how you made this transition. But, you did the creative aspects for me for a long time. And then there was a point at which, I want to hear from you, like, there was a point in which you decided you probably needed to get into this real estate game, which I've always been fully in support of. Yep. And I know that there was a lot of fears that kicked up. Yes. Kind of just talk to me about, like, what was it that made you decide that you wanted to do this? And also, what fear, like, I want you to speak to because you had always been doing this one thing. And I know your grandmother was like a super power real estate agent who probably always wanted you to get in the business because she knows how lucrative it is. But talk to me about your fears before that.
Yeah.
And then once you did it, what did that look like for you? Like,
sure. Well, okay. So we were doing the social media game. And I would say that there was there's a few things that got me to the point of wanting to get my license and, like, actually become more of an agent role. So I would say that I was doing the social media thing for you. I actually joined one more like luxury agent and did social media for you and her team, basically. So I was kind of full-time running sort of marketing directing for you and her team, and learning a ton. Like, I was just learning a ton.
About
and
real
I'm
estate.
really starting to soak it up a little bit. And I will say, I felt like I didn't know a lot when I got into this, but what I did know was how to present things nicely, right? So that was like what I basically started with, was like my smaller bag of tricks. And then as I gained more and more knowledge in the real estate industry, I'm realizing how to present things and how to represent clients and how to deal with clients and how to deal with homes and all the things. And I thought, why am I not doing this myself? Why am I not doing this myself? Then I'm also dealing with, at the same time, like I had mentioned before, we moved from Austin, or we moved from Southern California to Austin because we needed a shakeup. I think that was almost, in a way, an internal scream of, like, I need a bigger change. And that was ultimately the end. That was me waking up one day and saying, I'm not happy in my marriage. This was a very long, slow game of trying for years and years and years. It wasn't a quick decision, but it became one of those things where as soon as I sort of knew, it was all I could think about. Like with anything, right? It's like, as soon as we women, especially, like, make up something in our minds that we're, like, certain of, it's like all you can think about.
And a lot of times, sometimes when we find the thing that I hate to say it this way, but when we find a place that we can provide for ourselves and our
Mm-hmm.
ticket that way,
Mm-hmm.
freedom is really
Yeah,
powerful because it
absolutely.
allows people to, you know, you stay somewhere because you want to,
Mm-hmm.
not because you have to.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if more women, I think, had financial freedom, I think things would look very
So
different.
different. So different. Um,
So
and
that
I
was
think
so
I
that was
knew,
happening.
so that was happening. And I basically decided at the time, it was 2019, 2020 of time frame. I was like, I I already have an in.
Mm-hmm.
I've already got this in the real estate industry. I had met through the job I already had with social media. So many agents. I was already, involved in our brokerage.
Speaking the language, you're learning. Yeah.
I knew it like backwards and forwards by this point. So I was like, I'm getting my license. I'm getting a divorce and I'm starting over. And so it's like ultimately exactly how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I got my divorce first, actually. And then I got my license. And I was like, shit,
And I
shit,
just,
how am I going to do this?
right. But I just want to say, like, I just want to acknowledge the fact that it was scary
It was incredibly scary.
to take that step.
Yes.
And I remember, like, you had done all the classes and you were sort of dragging your feet on taking the test. And we were like, just go
Just
take
do
the
it.
test. And of course you passed.
Yeah.
But, like looking back at all that, like, that's one of those things where you overcome, you just,
Yeah.
here's my fears. I'm going to push
Yeah.
them to the side. I'm going to push past it. And here you are. And aren't you so glad?
I wish that I had done it sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like I had said, my grandma has been a real estate, or she was a broker forever, and I actually am sad in a way that I didn't get to shine while she is she's getting to the last legs of her life here
Mm-hmm.
now. And it's
She's in her 90s, right?
she's not quite, so she's actually 84.
Oh, okay.
No, sorry, 85. And she's not doing great. So we're at this place of, she loves to call me and talk about real estate stuff, but then she also doesn't remember that she did,
Right.
like the next day. Right. So she's got really still a lot of great advice, but it kind of comes in these little random spurts.
Right.
And I soak it up for sure. But I know she's so proud of me, but it's just one of those things. And she said this to me when I got my license. It just wasn't your time back then.
Mm-hmm.
You could have tried to do this in California. It just wasn't the right time for you. It just wasn't. And you needed to be in the right place at the right time where you could prioritize being an agent in the right time of your life.
Yes.
And so when you talk about fear, I will say that for a long time I did something that I was very comfortable doing. The makeup thing I did for almost a decade, I feel. Yeah. And then, even just all this like design and all of these things, I was very comfortable in that world. And I like to be the expert at things. This is the oldest sister in me. I really like to be the expert and I like to know everything. And I really hate not knowing things.
Right.
Hate it. So when it came to becoming a real estate agent, I felt a lot of intimidation.
Yes.
Like a lot.
Things that were outside of your wheelhouse.
Outside of my wheelhouse, and also just fear of doing the wrong things, saying the wrong things. Also, there's something about this Austin real estate world that can be a little, there's so many big dogs out there. And just because you're a new agent doesn't mean that you don't do a deal with one of these big dogs.
Exactly.
Right?
It could be anybody.
It could be anybody. And so there's a little bit of fear that I'm going to be bulldozed over, by these big time agents who, some have reputations of being a little intimidating, and you just wonder what that's going to be like. And I will say that with every deal I've done, it has just been like incredibly hugely learning. And I get this like win every time. And it's it's just like another empowering like
Yeah.
step in this like ladder of life. And it's been, I mean, it's crazy how different I am now versus just even 5-6 years ago. It's wild.
Well, so like, what would you say is the biggest thing you've learned about yourself in taking on this challenge?
There's a few things. I would say, for one, stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a son in college now
Mm-hmm.
who is very much in this place of, you know, he tries one thing and it doesn't really quite pan out, or tries a job and he doesn't really like it so
Mm-hmm.
much. And so he wants to kind of quit. Even in college, he's very much like, I just want to quit. I want
Mm-hmm.
to throw this in the bag, because people are, you know, saying college is a waste of time, and they're starting and getting jobs now. And I've learned, especially with real estate, it's been the biggest lesson, is if you just like stick with it and trust the process,
Mm-hmm.
it will pan out. It
Mm-hmm.
will work. And it has for me, like, dramatically. And even in the market that we're in, I have still like every year been able to get higher and higher with
Your income.
with my income
Yes.
and sales and production. And it's just something that is hard, because at the beginning it's a challenge, and it's very easy to just throw in the towel and say, like, this isn't working,
Right.
or I made a mistake, and
Right.
so this isn't for me. And I've really had to push myself and say, just stick with it. Just stick with it.
Well, and from a person who has worked with you for such a long time, you're one of the hardest working people that I've ever met. Which is another question I have for you. Like,
Sure.
I think you're extremely loyal,
Mhm.
and you are truly like, you never complain. And I don't know if that's a badge of honor or not, because I know that there's a flip side to that where you
Sure.
take a lot of things in. People love you. And I think I've learned a lot just by working alongside of you, because you're a person who doesn't create drama. You
Sure.
never say anything poorly about anyone else. You're incredibly loyal and hardworking. And those things, like, that doesn't, like, yes, you have to stick to something,
Mhm.
but I think that a lot of people don't realize, I want to read this quote that I
Sure.
actually saw, because I think this is, it was this morning. It's
Give me a
Adam
sip of
Grant.
magic. Okay.
He says, the best way to gain job security is not being the most knowledgeable person in the room. It's being the most reliable person in the room. Information is abundant. Dependability, helpfulness, and responsiveness are relatively scarce. We count on people who consistently deliver. And I think that that is the edge, right? There's a
Yeah.
million of us in the pool, but the people that consistently deliver and show up and do what they say they're going to do, like, I just want
That
to,
speaks to me a lot.
yes, I want to acknowledge that, because it is not easy. And
Yeah.
our society makes us just think that we can just jump from ship to ship.
Mm-mm.
So on that note,
Mhm.
saying that, where did you get your work ethic from?
My parents, absolutely. My parents are the type of people who, when they come to visit, they don't sit down once. They are like, what do you need? And we're going to help you. And my dad will actually, when he comes to visit, he will actually ask me to send him a list of
Mhm.
things I need done, so that he can get the supplies shipped to my house and have them there before he arrives. So my parents are incredibly hard workers. And I would say, I guess they get from their parents.
Mhm.
It's just, I guess, in our blood. They are also incredibly humble. They're not looking for recognition.
Right.
They're not looking for, look what I did for you, so
Right.
now you owe me
They're
this.
serving you.
They're big servers. And and they do it with joy.
Yeah.
They really do.
Wow.
And so I get that from them. And, I think this job specifically, and I think at all of my jobs, they're very customer driven, serving driven for sure. But I still get some joy out of it.
Yeah.
I get a lot of pleasure in making a client happy.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. And it's been that way even when I was doing makeup. I mean,
Right.
that was a thing where I never left a wedding with a bride unhappy.
Right.
I wouldn't,
Right.
actually. If I was like, if you hate this, I will wash your face off right now and we will start over.
Mm-hmm.
And I will do it faster and better and you will be happy. And I mean, I would never leave. That's just not going to happen for me.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think, and again, I might complain a little like, I had to do that 2 times, but at the same time, she's happy.
Yes.
And this is like the biggest day of her life.
Yes.
And so why would I do that? And so now fast forward into real estate, I'm doing the same thing for clients. This is the biggest purchase of their life,
Mm-hmm.
or a bit, or again, they need their home to sell. I'm going to make it look phenomenal.
Yes.
I'm going to make it look the best it can. And I'm going to do those extra little steps.
Yes.
Because why wouldn't I? This is going to like represent me and it's going to get the job done and people are going to hire me again.
Yes, exactly.
And so, yeah, I get my work ethic, I guess if anything, I've learned to say no, and I've
Mm-hmm.
learned to create boundaries because in this like people pleaser being that I am, you do have to create the boundaries. And there
Mhm.
have been times that I've had to really put my foot down with certain things when I maybe in my past would have been like, sure, I'll show you that house, even though I just puked my guts out and my daughter's sick
Yes.
and my, power's out or
Yes.
whatever. I'm still gonna show you that house.
Right.
I have had to definitely, and I've done that, by the way. Like I
Mhm.
have absolutely been like, I have spent my last $10 to go do something for a client before because I wanted to be able to like get that done.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on that side of life. I have been on the side of life where, like I mentioned, my daughter has a lot of medical problems. I have had times where she is sick home with a bladder infection or a kidney infection, and I will go do something for a client.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting to a place now where I can manage it a little bit better, and boundaries are important.
Yes.
Boundaries are important.
And it gets so much easier. I mean, you're younger than I am, but this decade is like
Mhm.
magical to me because I'm
Mhm.
finally coming into, who I always wanted to be. And I think boundaries are a huge part.
Boundaries are a huge part.
And you get a lot more respect too. And
Mhm.
really, I mean, I don't know if you would say the same thing, but things don't really crash and burn when
Yeah.
you set boundaries with people,
Yes.
especially when they know how hard you work.
Yes.
They want to respect that.
Yes.
We just are the ones that have to be willing to ask for what we need.
Well, and I realize in this world, I think for a long time, again, because I'm a people pleaser, I never really want to say no. But I am so grateful for realizing that everyone understands we're all human beings.
Yes.
And that if I say, I'm actually not available this evening, they're like, okay, no
Yeah.
problem.
Right.
And that's been really, really
Yes.
huge for me.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, exactly. What would you say your favorite aspect of real estate is? I know that you like taking care of your
Mhm.
clients, but if you could like boil it down to like, what are the things like, I just want people to understand this about you.
Sure.
Like, where do you get the biggest, I don't know, like I love negotiation. Are there certain aspects that,
I love a couple different parts of it. I would say I do love there's two parts that are really fun for me.
Mhm.
I guess fun would be the presentation part of it. I do like to I don't mind taking a little bit of time to like put an extra pillow and place it there and bring an extra plant into the home and make sure that it photographs beautifully. And so the presentation part of it is enjoyable to me. The buyer side of it is part of me. I like the hunt. I like to hunt for people. It's kind of the same idea of like having a girlfriend say, I really need a perfect black dress for this
Yes.
event I'm going to or whatever. And I always loved doing that
Yeah.
for, friends. And so I would say that part of it is fun for me too. And then I'm really love a little, when a client is happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I love being able to
Yes.
like get them across the finish line.
Yes.
That's very satisfying for me. Is
Yeah.
like after all the hard work that we've done, and some transactions are much easier than others. Just depends on the situation. But really, when you've had one of those really long haul ones where it's been
Oh, yeah.
a lot of hurdles, just getting that across the finish line is just and having everybody happy is just such a really rewarding experience.
Yes. So satisfying.
So satisfying. Yes.
Like how do your kids feel about this? I raise my kids like slinging real estate and children at the same time, and it allowed me to have flexibility. I think a lot of times moms, when they choose themselves, and you've also gone through a divorce, and I remember thinking, as long as I'm happy, my kids are going to be happy.
Yeah.
Just like in that process, like having to choose yourself, there's always this like mom guilt that happens. Like, is this the right decision? Like, I know that my children are super proud of me for following my dreams. Even if they don't express it all the time, it comes out where a lot of times I don't even realize how much they're like looking up to me because I've been able to do it.
Yeah.
Like what do you think has been your experience in making those decisions and choosing yourself? Like,
I would say my children 100% know that I am a hard worker and that I hustle hard. They have seen me doing this their entire life. I mean, I feel like I've been working since I was 15 and I really haven't stopped with something, and I would say I've never really had a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
I tried that maybe here and there, but I never have had a 9-to-5. It's always been more of like a make your own entrepreneur time frames, all these things, and so that I could be present with my kids. I mean, that was really important for me to be able to be around for my kids as much as I could. But then at the same time, I've missed soccer games. I've missed dance recitals because I worked weekends a lot or I worked different hours. And so they saw me doing these things and maybe choosing work over them, but I don't think they ever thought of it that way. I think there's a lot of respect, and I know now, especially my kids, as they are getting into adult life and seeing the challenges that brings, they are very much like thankful, grateful. I mean, just being able to like see that like this work ethic is so important, and to not just sit around and to get things done and be a hustler. And so I see it specifically in all my children. They all have it in them, and they've all had jobs since they were 15.
Yes.
Like they just want to do it.
And I know that they're so proud of you.
Yes.
Like, it's kind of one of those things. It's like, if mom can do it, like, we don't have an excuse.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've never been one of those gals that just, I mean, every once in a while I watch TV, but I don't really lazy around too much. So.
Right. Sometimes that's good, but yeah. That's awesome. And your kids that you have 3 of them, but the oldest is how old now?
So I have, they just keep getting older on me. 22, just turned 22, 19, and 16.
Okay.
She actually turns 17 tomorrow. My baby turns 17 tomorrow.
So you are almost an empty nester.
I am almost an empty nester, except I am engaged now.
Congrats.
Thank you. So I am engaged to an awesome guy. He has a 16-year-old daughter as well, and then a 13-year-old boy.
Okay.
So we've got kind of a whole
you got the gamut.
We've got a whole 22 to 13. We're very Brady Bunchy in that sense. However, we're really respectful of each other's kids and time and all of that. And so when our girls graduate high school next year, well, 2027, we will finally be able to like buy a house together. It's been a long haul of like figuring it all out, but it's actually been great because I wasn't in any hurry to like get married again yet. I needed some time.
Yes, and figuring out your career and things. And so, with kind of looking back on this this journey, I guess if you were going to give advice to somebody like your son's age, a young 20-something, it's like we never really know what's going on. I mean, I feel for him because I wouldn't go back to that age for all the money in the world. Yeah. But like if you were going to give someone advice who's kind of struggling to figure it out, just a young person,
I would say absolutely gather your talents and interests into what really makes you passionate. I've seen people do different jobs that just didn't really give them any spark, and then you see them finally into something that sparks them, and it's a completely different person.
Right.
And so I would say really taking into account like what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, and then again sticking with it. Like that's just a big thing that I think, of course there's going to be ebbs and flows and learning, trying a few things and failing, and that's always going to happen. And if anything, failing is like necessary.
Yes.
So fail if necessary, but also like, and see what you're passionate in, and then just give it a good try.
Yeah.
And see, and it should stick. And also I think it's important to put yourself out there. Like go to the events or go to things, meet people, put yourself out there more, engage with people, because you're never going to meet anyone if you're
sitting on the sofa,
sitting at home watching TV or playing video games like these kids do. This, it's just, getting yourself out there.
Yes. And not being afraid of rejection. I always,
absolutely,
I used to ask, I would just ask for things from people or ask for opportunities. And it's amazing what you can get just by asking.
Absolutely.
I think that our mom philosophies are very similar. Like I can tell just by watching you through the years that you've really supported what your kids are doing, and instead of having this expectation of what the world wants. And I do think that that's an incredible gift to them, because there's not a lot of people that will say, just go be an entrepreneur and figure it out. But I think allowing people to be who they are is like, I don't know, that's where the happiness is.
Yeah. I mean, you want to support their interests and their loves and all of that. And it's really exciting to watch your kids grow up, but it's also very scary. And this world has a lot of challenges, and so there's so much to be thankful for, but also a little bit like, okay, I've taught you what I can teach you, and now you got to go and figure this out. And
exactly.
It's scary.
Yes. And actions speak louder than words, and they've had like an incredible example to watch. And I'm so grateful for this interview. I think you're just a really special human, and I feel very lucky to know you. And I just want...
Well, I feel the same.
Yeah.
I'm equally as impressed.
Yeah. So this is great because I want Austin, I know you have such an amazing Instagram following and a curated page, but like to know the real Laura and the story behind the scenes. So thank you for...
I need to be better at this. I need to get my personality out there more.
Exactly. So
it's so hard.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Well, we're doing that today.
Yes.
So thank you for the interview, Laura.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks.